Hello everyone. Nice, moderately warm, a little bit muggy Sunday, July 7th of the year 2024. Okay, just have to get around this kind of bicycle. Supposed to give at least 3 feet distance between you and the bicycle you're passing. And I gave him a good 5. Anyway, this video is going to be the Worldwide Church of God and the Holy Spirit. Of course, the Worldwide Church of God is no longer. It became Grace Communion International after the massive doctrinal changes back in the 1990s. And after those changes hit, I think, late 95, other churches sprung up. I can't remember how many different other churches were offshoots, and people left to those various offshoots, which were basically the old beliefs of the Worldwide Church of God, the Herbert Armstrong era Worldwide Church of God. And Herbert Armstrong was telling his followers, emphasis on the word followers, that we are the one true church. We are the only church that has the Holy Spirit. I remember in one taped sermon that got sent out to all the churches, he said he attended some conference of leaders of various churches around the United States and looked around at these other leaders. I don't know. I wonder if, boy, that guy was all over the line. I wonder if, this would have been back in the 80s. I wonder if Billy Graham was there. Billy Graham was a fine man. And, anyway, he looked at all these other church leaders around the world and kind of, I bet he had, I don't know if the word pity, or he was kind of looking down on them. It's like, oh, those poor souls, they don't have the Holy Spirit like my church does. But it'd be interesting to find that tape of Armstrong. I wonder if on the internet somewhere, one of these pro-Armstrong websites has all the tapes or copies of the tapes sent out to the churches going back through the years. Because every now and then there would be, Saturday church services where it wasn't the minister giving a sermon, it was a taped sermon from headquarters, from either Herbert W. Armstrong, or once in a while it was from one of the people working under him, with some doctrinal changes or this or that, or like one that was sent out was the sin of pride. I don't remember that one. I didn't understand that one very well. But, yeah, he talked about, you look down at these other church leaders and thought, yeah, all these poor people don't have the Holy Spirit like we do. And that is stuck in people who have left the Worldwide Church of God. I'm sure not everyone. And I don't know if it was 2 or 3 months ago, I was talking to a former member of the Worldwide Church of God. He went with one of these offshoot churches. I don't know if it was in the late 90s or early 2000s. He went with one of the offshoot churches that, little girl, she picked up a ball that got hit into the street, and he went with one of these offshoot churches that went with the old beliefs. Then he went to another offshoot church. I don't know if he's on his second or third offshoot church. And what's puzzling to me is some of these people I talk to, just tiny little doctrinal changes, and they will leave and go to a different offshoot church, another church that branched off from the Worldwide Church of God. But anyway, this person, I was talking to him, and I told him about, waking up one Sunday morning in the summer of 2022, and a thought came into my mind that didn't come from me. The thought was, it will be very hard to get by. Well, if you've been following the internet strongly in the last 3.5 years, there's people talking about a major stock market crash equal to the crash of 1929. People that say that the banking industry is weak, it's fragile, similar to the 2008 housing crash, except worse. So, but when I told him about waking up and hearing this, and he very much doubted that the Holy Spirit was telling me this. He says he is wondering what entity gave me those thoughts into my mind. As if, okay, because I left the Worldwide Church of God in 1997, so, I guess the Holy Spirit's never going to inspire me with any thought ever again, since I left way back then, 26 or so years ago. So anyway, I don't know. I just remember, there was good things in the Worldwide Church of God, but there was, like my cousin told me, he thought there was just a lot of very judgmental people in that church. I thought people were closed-minded, critical. There's a saying, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And you can look at that in the same way with Worldwide Church of God and the people that were attracted to it. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. But, I remember, the church that I attended in Rochester, Minnesota, back in the 80s, our minister was Mr. John Bald, a fine man, just very fine man, very smart. He spoke English, he spoke Spanish well. And but one day there was a snowstorm in Rochester, and I am in traffic here, and instead of 120 to 150 people or so attending the Rochester, Minnesota location of the Worldwide Church of God, there was about 20 to 30 of us. And I remember the church starting, and after the singing, the singing from the hymnals and all that, I think there was a sermon at that day. I can't remember. This is close to 40 years ago. Mr. Bald says, there's not many people here. Why don't you pull on in closer? Because we were seated, a lot of us were seated out farther in the fold-up steel chairs. So we all moved up into closer chairs, up closer to the podium. And part of his sermon that day, I don't remember what the subject was, part of his sermon, he says, he was reading a verse from the New Testament, and he says, I don't agree with this verse. Or I don't know his exact words, but it was, basically he was dismissing this verse in the New Testament, and he says, we are an Old Testament church. And I guffawed. I almost like, huh? I just was so stunned. It just shocked me. As I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mom has told me over the years that church was kind of between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And but Mr. Bald says, no, we are an Old Testament church. And I don't know. I have done a fair amount of reading in the Bible. I don't know it very well. But I over the years, I have met people. I'm sorry, the sun is shining. Let me move my sun visor over so I can see the screen a little bit better. I have met devout Catholic families that I thought were just genuine Christians. I worked for one guy. He was a roofing contractor. I did some work for another guy who was a devout Catholic. Just a fine person. I've met a lot of people from a lot of different churches that I thought were genuine Christians. That I thought, that I feel, that I know had their hearts truly with God. And I would be extremely surprised if none of them ever had the Holy Spirit communicating with them in their minds. But when I was taught, back to the conversation with this person who used to be in the Worldwide Church of God, and he says, well, the Holy Spirit tells me things multiple times a day. And I thought, I can't remember what I said in response to that, but looking back, I should have said, oh, good for you. Are we in a competition now? Anyway, yeah, I think back in around 2000, late 90s, I think I was invited to a Baptist church. This family that I used to store stuff on their farm. Really nice family. She invited me to the Baptist church they went to, I think down in Afton, Minnesota. And I went there one day, and I was too nervous. I was too nervous to step in the door. I turned around, got back in my vehicle, and left. That was before I knew I was very low on vitamin D from stress and from Lyme disease. Anyway, I think around 2000 or 2001, there was a Baptist church I attended over, I think in Hudson, Wisconsin, or somewhere western Wisconsin, a couple times. And I talked to the minister. Asked him, do you do counseling? He looked at me, he says, no, I don't do counseling. And I just felt like this doesn't feel like a really warm church with the Holy Spirit really strong here. So I didn't continue to go. I guess the closest thing I experienced to religion is a YouTube channel, Phil Robertson YouTube channel. They lightly get into the Bible in that channel. I like that family. They are just such an interesting family. The only thing I don't like is they have they let these men, most of the men in this family, they have long hair, and of course most of them have beards, and it's almost like a trademark of the Robertson family, their beards. But anyway, I'd love to meet them someday. I know there's a movie out. They made a movie about Phil Robertson in his early life as a rebel, living a very sinful life, drugs and drinking and sleeping around. He owned a bar. He fathered his one daughter in a relationship when he was cheating on his wife, and at one point his wife finally kicked him out of the house, and then God called him. I'd like to see that movie. And but I don't catch every video that comes out on the Phil Robertson YouTube channel, but I listen to a lot of them. But that's as close as I get to religion. I don't know. The Worldwide Church of God kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. There are other people out there that, like me, who left the Worldwide Church of God and didn't attend another church ever again. There's some of them that quit believing in God, which is sad. That's very sad. And then, of course, there's others that went to the various offshoots with their family or their spouse or that kind of thing. I think there's some of them that went with one of the offshoots in order to, even though they maybe disagreed with the offshoot church, just did it just to keep their family from falling apart. But anyway, I guess every person has to make up their own mind, don't they? Alright, I guess that's all the gas I got for this video. Thanks for watching. See you, bye.